All right, guys, we are live. Are we or no? Uh, 1 second. I'm going to go live on Instagram as well. And we'll get started here. So if you guys want to start typing questions, go ahead. What happened to Lando today? I saw him at the house and then he disappeared.
I don't know.
All right. Let's get started here, guys. So, yeah, questions. Go ahead. All right. Sweeps or passes from deep half guard. So, first off, whenever I'm entering a deep half guard, what I want to do is I want to reach for the far left, facing him as if I were going for a traditional half guard. And once I start feeling resistance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use him as a reference point to pull myself underneath him and look the other way. So if Joey's in combat stance there for me, please. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I look in, and then I'm going to just turn to the other side. All right. So notice that he doesn't really move. I'm the one moving underneath him. It's just in case you guys get stuck trying to move him. Don't bother. Just use him as a reference point to turn yourself underneath him. All right. So that's step number one, is actually getting into deep half guard. So let's say try to pass my guard here in half guard. 1, 2, and then I switch to the other side. Okay. Now from here, you got a lot of different options, right? Like it's a big category. So I'm going to show you guys some of my favorites. Deep half guard is not my game really. Like it's not something it's something I teach. I think it's important to know because it works for everyone, but it's not something I ever taken a lot of time to specialize in, right? So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be always biting his ankle with one foot and the other one on top, right? What this does, it creates, I'm always able to get him off balance whenever I need to. And I don't want to have the other one free because I don't want him stepping over my leg, right? Exactly. So he'd be able to move forward. So I'm going to do this right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab his ankle so I keep it in place because it's going to replace my right foot now, which is going to be going this way. So I'm going to get both my shins on the inside of his leg. Once I have both shins on the inside of my leg, I have a lot of control over his weight. It's very easy for me to manipulate his weight. So far, so good. Okay. So it kind of depends on what I want to do next. Like what is it that like what is that some of your favorite sweeps? What I like to do from here is I'm a big fan of transition 50-50 from here because I actually like that 50-50 fight. So I'm going to raise with my hand and I'm going to let my inside leg go on the inside, just like that, and I'm going to transition. And then from here, this right here is technically not a sweep yet until I get on top. It's only when I get on top that I score the 2 points. I'll do it one more time. This is a option. Okay, it's not the only one. So if I need to help with my hand to get that hook right there, that's fine. So I get this right here. I bite. I'm going to hold with my hand. And then when I lift, I'm able to get both my shins on the inside of his knee. I got a lot of control here. Now I'm going to lift just enough to get my right leg. Basically, I'm going to replace my right knee with my right foot. So my right foot goes on the inside, my right knee goes on the outside. You guys get that? And now all I got to do is kick my legs through. All right. And I come up into the 50-50. It is one option. What else can I do from that setup? There's some other ideas, some other things we can do with that same setup. All right. So I lift, bite. So far, so good, right? So when I feed it to my hand. I get my second knee in there. I could use the lapel as a reference. It's not the only reference. If you held the belt, it wouldn't be correct. I like the lapel here, but I'm going to begin rock Joey, right? And when I'm ready, when I create that momentum, that pendulum, I'm going to kick him forward with both my knees. Make sure I come up with the knee up so you don't walk into a triangle. That's another option. Go back. So once I get both my shins in here, right, and I'm ready, I just press it forward. You see how it collapses? Notice that when I'm ready to come up, I come up on my terms, always with the knee up so you don't walk into a closed guard unless that's what you really want. Guys, it's a big category. We could keep going. Other than those two I showed you guys, the other one I really like is the transition to the back, which I didn't show right away. It really, probably is my favorite one because we did it a few days ago. Someone asked that same question, so we're going to redo it. But I really like this one where I hold the lapel, right, and then I let Joey pass to the other side. I just make sure that I block his leg with my left hand. Just move down, Joey, right here. So Joey, If he tries to get high on me, like try to sit high when you butt flop there, Joey, I'm able to push him down. And then I lace his knee with my right leg. Because I have this lapel, he can't really move up. He's framed. And it's easy for me to attack the back from here. I actually do this a lot no-gi. It's a little bit harder no-gi because you don't have the lapel, but you can still do it, right? So that's an option as well from deep half guard. That's probably my favorite. I let people butt flop. I very rarely do I try to stop them from switching sides in that deep half guard. I always let them, but as a trap. Those are some ideas. There's more. Okay, now that my brain's going, like now that I've warmed up, there's so many sweeps there. But those are the most common ones. You have to try one that fits your body type. So really look into your body type and like going, okay, this is the one that's going to work best for me. Like, you know, depending on your height. You did mention shorter. That one is for someone with shorter. If you got short legs, they go in a lot easier. Like sometimes I struggle getting my shins on the inside of his leg because my legs are so long, right? So if you have shorter legs, it should be a little bit easier, okay? All right. Do you prefer to fall to the overhook side or underhook side when attacking from the back? Always the overhook side. It's a very good question, all right? Generally speaking, when I'm attacking the back, you want to be attacking with the bottom arm. This is ideal. So I'm attacking him with the bottom arm. Anytime, if I'm here, it's not, just move down, Joey. It's not that I can't choke him here, and it's not that Joey can't escape on the other side. It's just that it's easier for him to escape here and harder for me to choke him on this side. I'll show you guys, I'll give you guys a little hint. When I'm on my good side and Joey's winning that fight where he's switching sides, he's going this way, and I feel he's going to fall that way, I connect before he hits the ground. Notice that my elbow goes behind me. I don't keep my elbow in front of me. Otherwise, the noose is going to be too big. So I have to pull my elbow behind me before we hit the ground. Also notice where my head is. My head stays underneath his head. So if I'm in here, right, he's going that way. I keep my head tight, very close to him. My elbow's behind my back, and then it's easy to choke. But look, I have to make sure that my head is so far forward that Joey can't win that head fight because he will be pushing the back of his head into my face as he should. So I just have to make sure I prevent that, okay? Easy trick. But to answer your question, you're much better off attacking with the bottom arm, okay? In this case, the overhook arm. Hello, Neil. Boston would love to see a shoulder lock that you like from any position. Thank you, coach. Okay, shoulder lock. I mean, so many of them. There's one that I was just showing the boys the other day. It's called the monoplata. It's a variation of the omoplata. I do it from the omoplata. I just transition from there. So go on that side, Joey. All right. So anytime I hit an omoplata here, right, any omoplata, notice that my hand, when I'm setting up that omoplata, it pulls his elbow in this way. So my thumb is pointing at you guys. A lot of you guys will want to do this, right? I want to keep it here. And then when I lock my elbow works almost like I'm pushing his hand into my hip. And I keep my hand here. But when I do that, I end up with a funny grip. It almost feels like I'm wrist locking myself, right? See that funny grip there? It should feel that way. That's exactly what I want, right? For what I'm doing right now. And I'm biting with my thumb because I want to prevent rotation. So the more control I have over my opponent, the better my control over the omoplata. Let's say Joey's pressing forward a little bit. He wants to move into guard. So what I got to do is always I block his face with the back of my hand. This is a good push, but it's not a pull. This is a push and a pull. I can pull my foot over his face. Right now he's letting me, so it doesn't really make a difference. But when he's really driving in, trust me, this right here makes all the difference in the world. Now I'm going to go stiff arm just to make sure I create some range, right, for my omoplata. Look at what I'm going to do now. I'm going to lace his far leg. You guys can't see, but my right toes are touching the ground over there, over Joey's calf. So it goes like that, and it laces his far leg. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open my arm like I'm ready to ask a question. Raise my arm, and I come into my elbow. Don't try to do a sit-up. A sit-up is too hard. Raise your elbow, bring it in. Once I get this right here, look at my left knee. I begin to turn my left knee in, and I'm going to go to my knees, turtle position. Now, my right foot is meant to make it harder for Joey to roll. It's not impossible. Harder. Look at me. Tap. See how he's tapping? So it's a it's almost like a kimura with my legs, which is really what the omoplata is, but it's called a monoplata because I'm just like, there's a little more control when I have my hand here. Notice my hand. It does feel like I'm wrist locking myself, but it's much better control. So when I extend the left leg across his face, I'm going to go face down, not belly down, face down into a turtle position. He's tapping, okay? I like that attack a lot right after someone hits a double on you, they take you down. You use the momentum of them coming forward, right? So as they're coming forward, I'm able to hit that omoplata on the way down because with the momentum, this is what's happening, okay? So I use that against them. So that's probably my favorite way of setting up that position, but you can do it really anywhere. Shoulder lock is a huge category. You can go all over the place. It's like an elbow lock. You know, you can do it in so many different ways. But that's one that it was fresh in my mind. I just showed it in class the other day. It's one of my favorites. I got some really cool details from the Kimura. If you guys want to go over those later, Kimura is a pretty basic position. We got a lot of questions today, guys. I had someone write me from on Instagram yesterday with a bunch of questions. So if you run out of questions here, I'll pull from the ones he asked me yesterday. All right, from standing, can we see your favorite grip breaking technique when your opponent has same side collar grip? Very good question. Can you show any grip breaking warm-ups? The warm-ups are just like, I would just go easy, right? Just don't try to hurt each other. You know, like just don't go live right away because you might hurt your fingers. What you want to do is go on this side, Joe. I think it's easy for them to see, right? So, you know, just go easier on it, but there's no particular warm-up. You just got to ease into it. Just don't go live right away. Okay. So a lot of times when it comes to grip breaking, this happens not only standing, it's in guard too all the time. People do this. They're taught to do this. It's not wrong. I hate using the word wrong in jiu-jitsu. But the problem with this is you probably see it already. What's the problem here? His sleeve moves up and down, right? So I lose a lot of what? The traction because the sleeve is moving. So instead of trying to move the sleeve, which moves the forearm, I got to go where the problem is. His fingers are the problem. So I'm always going to go and wrap his hand. So what I'm trying to do to his hand when I want to break a grip, like, anytime you're trying to break someone's grip, you don't fight the wrist, you don't fight the sleeve, fight the fingers. I go like this. Now, this is legal. This is not illegal, okay? If I were doing that to Joey, that's illegal. This right here is always legal. What I'm always trying to do is to smash his fingers. I'm trying to jam his knuckles together. It makes it hard for him to close his hand. So if he can't close his hand here, if his hand is closed and I'm constantly putting pressure on his hand this way, it makes it harder for him to keep it closed. So see this little bottom knuckle right here? It's like a little button. I'm going to press that button with the palm of my hand. So the palm of my hand goes on that bottom knuckle, and I wrap his fingers. So one more time. 1, 2. Now look at my left hand. My left hand is peeling his thumb. This is connecting, right? So it's adding to the bite. So I'm peeling the thumb, and I do everything at the same time. Notice that when I go live, I don't just pull my upper body back. I take a step back with my left foot. So if I were standing, I'd be doing this right here. Why left foot? Because by right foot, by stepping back with the right foot, what am I doing? I am pulling my right shoulder back. If I step back with my left foot, I'm doing what? I'm pushing my right shoulder forward. So there's no tension on the grip. So the way to break this grip is 1, peel 2, and then I take a step back at the same time. I'll show you guys a little trick. If you want to turn your defense into offense, I create a little pocket grip. The problem with this is that it only works when he has long sleeves. If his sleeves are somewhat short, it could be difficult because I can barely get it. His sleeves are kind of short, but I can do this right here at the same time. So when I break, look at what I have, right? So this is even better. It's just a little bit harder because it's contingent on him having what? A longer sleeve. So my thumb, my palm goes on his knuckle. This one goes on the thumb, and then I break, okay? Always break trying to open his hand. The other thing is I'm always pushing his index finger into the collar. So I'm not just trying to fight his hand this way, right? Like all his hands are fighting the collar. I turn his hand this way. So when I push, I'm trying to push his index finger into the collar like that. It feels almost like a finger lock. One more time. All right, I'm pushing that way so his index finger gets stuck on the collar and he wants to let go because it hurts. If you got bigger hands than your opponent, it's harder when you have smaller hands. I'm not going to lie. But if your hands are bigger, I've seen people that I've been able to do this too. They got bigger hands. I've seen people with really big hands. They just break it with one. Like every time that someone grips them, they just go with one hand and like, you know, good judokas do it, right? So they have strong hands. And grip fighting is such an important aspect of their game. But that works everywhere in jiu-jitsu. You should be grip fighting. It's very important. All right. Professor, I'm tall. I keep getting pinned in side control with guys who are really heavy on top. Fat dudes with good pressure. Any advice? Best one is the one you're going to want to hear. You don't want this answer, but I'm going to give it to you. Don't get there. I know everyone hates that answer, but it is the best one. You're doing something wrong prior to that. So I'm going to give you guys some ideas on how to prevent side control and what to do when you're stuck in side control. But your best answer is preemptively. Like what can I do preemptively to stop him from passing? You're doing something with your guard to begin with, okay? So that's your real problem. This is a solution to already a problem that your first problem created. I should see this side right here. So let me just move back over. So I'm assuming, right, he's made all his progress, like he's gotten to side control. I have to at the very least keep this hand on the inside. One mistake you guys make is that you try to push the hip with that bottom hand. This is useless. I see people do it all the time. If you're very strong, you can get away with it, but don't count on it. You'd be much better off just palming this hand on the inside and just combing your hair. So I just put the top of my hand on my hair. So if Joey tries to control my head there, like there's no control. Now he's going to pummel. He's going to keep fighting. Don't get me wrong. If I don't move with him, there's a good chance that he is going to beat me. So if you try to keep fighting there, Joey, like, but this is annoying because he's desperately looking for that control, right? And then what am I going to do? I'm going to turn my hand into a monkey grip. I'm not pushing him with my wrist this way because if he muscles his way in, he will wrist lock me and beat me. Okay? So what I do is I have to wrap my forearm around his bicep. So when he tries to move in, I keep my forearm close to my head. It's very difficult for him to get the head control that he's looking for. All right? So right here, as he reaches for my head, I try to beat him with combing my hair, try to control my head there, Joey. And at the same time, I'm digging for my underhook. I'm going to give you guys a little trick on the underhook. You guys are going to really like this one. Now, if you forget everything I taught today, just remember this one detail for me. I promise it's going to change your bottom game when you're stuck. Right? Anytime I get my underhook, because sometimes your underhook is not a good underhook. Why? Because it's only my hand in there. I don't have my whole arm in there like I would like to. So what Joey does when he loses this hand, if I create enough space with this to get my hand in there, what he does, he pinches and he sits heavy on that arm because he doesn't want me pushing my arm through. And this works. I can't, unless you're much more powerful than your opponent, I'm not going to be able to push my arm through. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick. See my hand down there, my left hand? I'm going to push that left hand up with my left knee so you can get as heavy as you want there, Joe. Just up. So, okay, do it again. So you can get as heavy as you want there. Look at that. Look at my left leg. Okay, now here's the catch about this underhook. I can't get too close to the elbow because he's going to pull his arm out, obviously. Okay, go back. I can't get too close to the armpit right away because he's still going to be able to pinch. I got to block his tricep. So when Joey wants to recover now, there's not a lot of pressure. He's not strong. There's no room for him to pull his arm on the inside. So normally what they do is they end up backing up. When they back up, I just got to be ready to follow. The key is to read his movement. So when he begins to back up, he gives me the space to follow. Now, I'm giving you the most technical way possible to escape side control without bench pressing. Every cell in your body tells you to bench press. The problem is that it rarely works unless, once again, you're a lot more powerful than your opponent. You're in really good shape. Don't count on that. That's not good, clean technique. Technique is when you use your physical ability with intelligence. All right, one more time. Block, comb the hair, turn it into a monkey grip, get my arm in there. Excuse me. If I'm having a hard time getting that arm in there right away, I can give it a little bump, and I get my hand in there. And now I don't care how much Joey pinches. You can pinch that elbow as much as you want. Look at my left hand. Like I'm putting it in my pocket. And I raise my arm with my left hand. So it's really my left hand, my left leg that's moving his arm up, and my arm is just following, right? So now when Joey tries to recover, he's going to be stuck. I just have to make sure I'm ready to move, okay? I just follow, because if he backs up and I don't sit up at the same time, that means he's created a space to repummel, and then I lost him, okay? I hope that helped. It's not the only one. There are many, right? It's just one of my favorites. Thank you for the support, Neil. Hashtag we are Zenith. Michelle is asking, what are some key details to finishing a knee bar? I catch them, but struggle with finishing. I got you. Key details finishing a knee bar. All right. So the first thing about a knee bar is that you want to lock the foot. Just like when you control the arm bar, you control the hand and the wrist, right? You don't control the forearm or the elbow. You want to control the hand to prevent rotation. The knee bar follows the same principle. So if I get into the knee bar here, I have to control this knee bar based on where Joey's trying to go. So Joey's typically speaking trying to escape both two ways. He's trying to go kneecap up, or he's trying to go kneecap down. Those are his two ways of escaping, right? Unless he's really close to my crotch with his kneecap, and then he's just going to kick my butt and pull out. But if I'm deep on that knee bar like I am now, he's either going to go kneecap up, kneecap down. What I do is I always like to control the knee bar like I'm controlling a tie clinch. So I control his heel, and I bring my elbows in just like a tie clinch, and I bring it to my body tight. Where his foot goes depends on how he's trying to escape. So if he's trying to go kneecap up, I have to lock his toes on my ear, right? So he can't go kneecap up. So try to go kneecap up. He's stuck. If he's trying to go kneecap down, I do the opposite. Try to go kneecap down. He's locked in place, right? Because I block his foot with my face. So that's how I control his foot, and I stop the rotation is by moving his foot from here to here, depending on where he's trying to go. I'll show you guys a little trick when I want to finish now. I'm going to press his heel to my crotch area, right? Now, I'm not pushing his leg out. I'm just pushing it to my belly. Think belly. Like I press his heel in, and then I arch. It's a lot faster. What I'm doing is I'm compressing his joint. Instead of just stretching, look, he will tap here. He tapped. Versus here. He tapped a lot faster, okay? And, you know, you guys can't feel it, obviously, but Joey will tell you. And what I'm doing is, this is the knee joint. The knee joint works like this. If I open it, it has a little give there. There's a little bit of stretching, and then he taps. When I compress the joint, right, when I put a little bit of pressure, it's on right away. So he's going to tap a lot faster. It's very counterintuitive because it feels like I'm pushing him out of the knee bar. And in fact, I'm pulling him into my chest, even though it is on a 45 down. It's going to add a lot of pressure to the knee bar. But because it's still going down, there's one exception to this right here. Put me in the knee bar, Joey. If my kneecap is right on the verge of escaping, like right about, like a little bit less, like right there, okay? I'm almost out of this knee bar. It's not a tight knee bar. If Joey applied that technique of pressing my heel up down to his chest, he might be pushing me out of the knee bar. I only go for this knee bar where I press the heel to the chest when it's deep. You see how deep it is now? So now when Joey goes for it, he compresses and then he arches. And I'll tap a lot faster, right? The compression, once again, makes the joint a lot tighter. I do tap a lot sooner, and there's no doubt about it. You just have to make sure that the kneecap is not too close to the crotch. It's closer to your belly button where it should be, generally speaking, okay? So that's one way. Those are two details when finishing the knee bar, where you place the foot and the compression to the chest. They really help, I promise you. All right, Keith. Good evening, Sensei. I'm not used to Sensei, but thank you. I like it. All right, Keith from Belleville, Illinois. When stuck in the side control with a strong wrestler with a great base, what is a good option to retain guard again? Muito obrigado. Control with a great base. What is a good option to retain guard again? In the gi, your best option is going to be triangles and omoplata, so a spider guard and open guard. Because those right there are the ones that, like a lot of like the top players are describing, like the wrestlers, a lot of times they sit on their knees. So if they're on their knees, what happens is they make themselves very vulnerable to omoplatas and triangles, those two things. So I would be playing a lot of spider guard. I'd be climbing a lot on my spider guards and triangles. As far as the sweep, the lasso is going to keep them at bay. But if you're looking at someone who's playing very defensive, it can be a little bit harder because when someone doesn't want to pass, you got to remember guard is originally a defensive position. Now, it can be used very aggressively when they're moving forward. When they're backing out, it's a lot harder to play that game. I'm not going to lie. There are exceptions. There are people who have very aggressive closed guards, but generally speaking, attacking from closed guard is a little bit harder. I like an open guard game because it's a little more dynamic. I'm trying to think of like a good technique here you can use from the bottom. There's so many of them. There's an omoplata. I actually feel like I just showed this the other day. I keep getting the same questions. Like, it's funny because whenever I teach seminars, I always get the same questions. It's almost like people have the same problems. There's like 10, 15 questions that show up, all the time in Q&As. This is one of them. So if you've seen me show it already, I apologize, but it's one of my favorite options. So if Joey's on his knees here, and I have what I call like a shell guard, like I'm just playing this guard right here. I keep my shins on the inside. It almost feels like I have a lasso, but if he doesn't have his arm on the inside there, let me just turn the screen down a little bit. That's fine. So I'm just playing this right here. I try to keep my knees to my chest and my elbows got to stay in. I am blocking on both sides his hand with my elbow because I don't want him pulling that arm on the inside and repummeling. So I got to keep him here. So I keep very active. All right? I stay very active. And what I'm doing here is whenever I'm ready, I'm keep blocking that hand with my elbow, both my hands on the tricep. And I'm thinking about unscrewing his arm. Okay, what I'm doing, I have to pull in a rotation. Look at that. His arm remains stuck. And I kick my left leg through. And I can go for an omoplata. I'm able to do that because his hand is stuck. If I'm doing this right here and I open my elbow, Joey pummels, now I have to start all over again. So I have to win this fight. I have to lock. Look at that. All right, but I think about unwinding his arm. It's not just pulling towards me. think about unscrewing his arm from its socket. That's going to help a lot in terms of setting up an omoplata, and then you can see the triangles. That's one idea. The other one, someone asked this question a while ago, one of our first Q&As. Get on your knees there, Joey. If Joey's backing out a lot, he's not engaging, I can always kick my feet to the side and run him over. It's just like a double right there. Boom. Now the trick to do this is playing guard, and the second he starts backing out too much, I pull my feet behind me, sort of like that warm-up a lot of schools do, like this one right here. And you go like that, and then you come back. It's the same idea. I use that principle, right, to set my feet to come up. So if I'm going to come up with my head on my left, my feet got to be on my left, and then I'm driving with my head into Joey, okay? Let me see what else. Yeah, for someone not engaging, a lot of leg attacks. For those of you who like to attack the legs from the bottom, that's an option. There's a lot of different entrances you can use to get them coming forward, right? By like really sucking that leg into a 50-50 or a honey hole. There's a lot of different setups you can do from the bottom. But get them moving. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. It can be very difficult when someone is just playing that defensive game. They're not trying to move forward. They're not trying to really win. They're just trying not to lose. All right, Keith, do you have any details on how to finish an ankle lock? All right, so ankle lock is a big category. Come here, Joey. Give me your foot. Ankle lock is a huge category. So typically speaking, there are 4 different kinds of straight foot locks. There's one that attacks the insertion of the calf muscle with the Achilles heel. It's like more or less right here. It kind of tickles. It's fun. I don't like this attack personally. Dean Lister attacked like this, and he's shown it to me. And when he does it, it feels like he's going to break your leg off. But he's attacking this muscle right here. Most people, when they attack the straight foot lock, they're attacking the Achilles, right? Which is also correct. There's another way of attacking straight foot lock that's really like a toe hold. So if I'm in here, it's going to feel like, okay, yeah. I just pull my elbow back and it feels like a toe hold. Or if I were in 50-50, this is also an ankle lock. Even though it's really a toe hold, it counts as an ankle lock. I'm doing this right here. And right, that rotation there. Now it looks like a straight foot lock, but Joey will tell you it's a toe hold. I'm bending his knee, and there's a rotation motion to it, right? So it's a toe hold. My favorite ankle lock attack, I saw this the first time in a tournament called Budo Challenge in 2005. Cameron Earl had just beaten Marcelo Garcia, and then Cameron Earl fought Shinya Aoki in the final. I didn't know who Shinya was. And Shinya broke his foot with this. I had no idea what he was doing because I saw the guy with the broken foot. You could see like he was icing the top of the foot. And I'm like, why would he feel the foot lock on the top of the foot, not the Achilles? That makes no sense. Years later, I kind of figured out what he was doing. He's actually attacking the top of the foot, which makes a lot more sense because it's harder to tough it out. So instead of applying the pressure here on the Achilles, I'm not even going to close my hand. Just to give you an idea of how I'm not squeezing at all, I just got to find that bite underneath my armpit, sit on his heel. Yeah, he's tapping. Just my body weight, he doesn't like that. I'm not even squeezing. I'm just applying the body weight on the end of the foot. And what I'm doing is I'm squeezing his toes underneath my armpit. So his foot's not there. His foot is trapped underneath my arm. All right? And I make sure I can't overdo it because if his heel opens, it defeats the purpose. So I have to make sure I'm pressing the inside of his heel to my rib cage, and it disappears, right? So from here, look, I'm not even connecting my hands. He's not, I mean, in a fight, he wouldn't tap if I'm using my hands at all, but it gives you an idea how tight I can just by tension, right? But I think about using my body weight. Yeah. This part of the foot right here, this top part, is very sensitive. All these little tiny bones, no muscles really. So it's an easy target if you know what you're doing. When you start attacking this foot lock, I'm not going to lie to you, it's a pain in the butt to get the hang of it. That's how Felipe Andrew attacks it, by the way. Just jumps at it, but he has that adjustment so down to a science. He gets it in midair. He could be jumping for a foot lock, and he just bites that foot at the right time, right place, right time in midair. So it's a skill you develop. If you can't quite get that adjustment at the end of the foot, you just need more practice. I'll give you guys one more hint there when adjusting that. Like I should not be able to see. I can see the toes because I'm looking at the screen. But here, if I can see the toes, I'm doing it wrong. Here, look, see I can't see the toes. I can't see it on the screen or over my shoulder. That's when I know I'm doing it right. If I could see his toes there, then you know it's not shallow enough. You just don't want to overdo it. You don't want to do that and the foot comes out on the other side. You want to squeeze the toes with the armpit. Like and the heel with the rib cage. That's the kind of like the motion that I'm going for. That bite right there, that's very, very deadly, very painful. And it's harder for him to resist than the traditional ankle lock. You get like someone with big, thick ankles, and they're just going to be harder to foot lock. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to do one more question. I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, team? All right. Any tips on how to memorize techniques when under pressure? Very good question. And it is not a good, it's a good question and a backwards sentence. I'll tell you why. It's a good question because it's a common misconception. And because people, you're not supposed to be memorizing moves. You don't memorize moves. Memorize moves is a waste of your time. You're supposed to understand them. Here's the thing. There's two kinds of intelligence when it comes to jiu-jitsu. There's your conscious intelligence, right? Your frontal lobes. And then there's all those neural circuitry that your brain creates with your muscles. You ever go for a triangle or any move that you're good at, any move you're good at, you don't think about it, dude. Do you recruit memory when you're going for that move you're good at? You don't recruit memory. Why would you, right? You're going to recruit memory? Are you kidding me? It makes no sense. It takes too long. Memory, just like if I ask you, name your grandparents, it's going to take you like 3 seconds to remember. Like memory is slow. It's like way in there. You don't want to be touching that. You want your body to respond automatically. So you got to train your muscles to have, it's like a brain of its own, right? And you do that by visualization. You do that by repetition in the gym. You do that by succeeding in the gym multiple times. That makes you confident. But you shouldn't be trying to memorize moves. If you're going to memorize anything, memorize principles because they apply everywhere. Weight distribution, don't let them grab your sleeves. Don't let them close the guard on you. Little things like that are more vague. I think they're easier to memorize. But if you try to memorize moves, it's very hard. It's not. And for teaching, you might get away with it. If you get a good memory, like you might get away with for teaching purposes. For fighting purposes, I don't trust memory. I don't trust it at all. I think you're just wasting your time trying to memorize moves in jiu-jitsu. You should try to feel the move, understand it, and make it part of that connection between your brain and your muscles. Those connections, they flow automatically if you train them properly. That's what training is for, is to make those neural connections, right? It's very important, guys. All right. Okay, we'll do one more. In português. Parabéns, Robert, por sua colocação no jiu-jitsu. Todo tesouro que nos foi repassado não pode ficar simplesmente escanteado. Obrigado aí, Cleiton Neves. Agradecido aí pelo elogio. Okay, one more. All right, great class, sir. Have a good weekend. Okay, no, that wasn't a question. All right, I think we're done, guys. We will be back next Monday, though, okay? So tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday are my days off. Just so you guys know, I am halfway through a book on the making of the documentary. So I'm going to have more news on that soon. But the idea is to actually finish it before the documentary is out. So we're going to have some content there that is not going to be in the documentary.